Hi, my foodie friends. It's me, your friendly neighborhood kid switch, Tara, and welcome to another episode of Recipes for the Cooking Impaired. Today we're doing a dessert. Yum! Now, I'm going to give you the heads up that this recipe has two different ways to make it. You can do the original way where you're using all original sugars, or the substitution. I am videoing the substitution. So the cookies look vastly different. You also will have to use far less time cooking. So I say in the recipe 20 to 25 minutes. You're going to do it closer to 20, possibly even a few minutes less than that if your oven tends to cook a little hotter. So err on caution if you're using substitution sugar for both kinds, for both the white sugar and the brown sugar. Go 15 to 20 minutes on 350 instead of the 20-minute standard if your oven tends to go hotter. If you notice it cooks a little hotter, then less is more. If you look at 15 minutes and it's not ready, add another 5 minutes. Totally fine. You can't take time away. You can always add more time. Basically what I'm getting at. All right, so what we are making is chocolate chip walnut cookies. Now, I put on there, you don't have to use the walnuts. If you are making this for family or for friends or as a work activity or whatnot, if there are people that are either anti-nut or have an allergy, okay, this is just an option. All right, so what do we need? We need 3/4 cup of butter, softened. Don't take it directly out of the fridge and try to put it in this mix. It will be too hard. Our arms are not built for that. Plus, softened butter just works so much better in the mixes. Sometimes cold butter will have an unpleasant reaction with the flour. It doesn't work for, let's just say it just doesn't work for chocolate chip cookies. 2 1/4 cup of flour, and that we use all-purpose flour, so we will go with that. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and that's any kind of salt. 1/2 cup of sugar or substitute. We did the substitute. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Please, 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 guys, do not get the milk chocolate chips. Get the semi-sweet. There is quite a bit of sugar going into this, even sugar substitute. The regular chocolate chips are going to make this cookie overpowering. Please, don't do it. Don't do it. Semi-sweet chocolate chips. 2 eggs. Room temperature is best in this particular recipe. 1/4 cup of brown sugar or a substitute, and we did a brown sugar substitute. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now, don't grab the baking powder. You will end up with flat cookies. Baking soda. Please double check before you add it into the mix. There is a difference. 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. 1/4 teaspoon of almond oil. Yes, you heard me correctly. There is almond oil in this particular version, but there's a very small amount. It brings out the richness of the walnuts. You're going to love it. I can tell. I just can tell. You're going to love it. And last but not least, the 1 cup of walnuts. Now, you might be asking, well, what if I'm not using walnuts? Do I still need to use the almond oil? Don't really need to, but I'm a big fan of trying something new. So live a little. Try them both. See what you think. What?
Unless you're allergic.
To almond oil?
It's still a nut extract.
Unless you're allergic, do not use anything in this recipe if you are allergic. All right, and for my metric fans, I got you covered. Here we go. La 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 la. Dooby dooby doop doo dooby doo 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 doo. You're done. All right, guys, let's head into the kitchen and we'll start making this. All right, my foodie friends. So first start with your flour. We're going to put all of our dry ingredients in first. Now our flour also has our 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt put in as well, just to kind of save space on the counter. If you do not have them together, which most people wouldn't, you're going to add your 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt in now with your flour. Yay! All right, now we're going to add in our teaspoon of baking soda and our teaspoon of baking starch. Did I say baking starch?
Corn.
Our teaspoon of cornstarch. Okay. All right, next we're going to add in our sugar. We're doing a sugar substitute. It is direct 1-to-1 ratio, same measurement as sugar is. And we'll go ahead and mix that in before we add our brown sugar. Okay, wonderful. All right, now we're also doing a brown sugar substitute. And again, you guys can use either brown sugar, dark, light, or the substitution sort. Either one's fine. Being that I can't really change the amount of carbs in this that much, I can at least decrease on some of the sugar. So that's what we're doing. Alright, so next we're going to add our 2 eggs. And a heads up, if you have not preheated your oven yet, we're preheating for 350. Go ahead and add your eggs and then do that now. Of course, wash the paws first.
Definitely.
Alright, so we're going to mix that in well. Now keep in mind, it's not going to be perfectly mixed because it's only 2 eggs, but we still have butter to add in, which is what we're going to add in next, is our softened butter. Okay, I'm just going to kind of stir slash squish slash squeeze, however, all those wonderful describers in, and try to mix it into as much of the flour as possible before we add our next wet ingredients. Alright, so I know what you guys might be thinking. This is looking very crumbly. Don't worry. Don't get worried. It's going to be okay. This is just the first part. Once we get the almond and the vanilla extract in, we're actually going to use our hands and squish it together, and it will become a wonderful doughy clumpable mess of cookie, which sounds awful, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I will show you. It'll be wonderful. All right, we're going to add in our 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Oop, magnetic. And then before we do any additional stirring, we'll add in our almond to our vanilla. And the almond is 1/4 of a teaspoon. And it's only because almond is really strong. You do not need very much. Okay. And now at this point, we'll go ahead and use the fork to stir one more time for just a bit. And then we're going to move to our fingers. Okay guys, at this point we are ready to use our hands. So you can go ahead and take as much off the fork as you can. And while you're stirring it in, you're also squishing the ingredients together to kind of start molding it into a paste, a thick, doughy paste. As well as getting any excess of the flour from the bottom of the bowl. Which it always seems to do that. Always rests at the bottom. Okay, we're going to go ahead and stop there at the moment. And we're going to go ahead and add in our chocolate chips. We have it partially mixed, and that is good. We're doing 1 full cup of chocolate chips, and we're going to go ahead and mix those together. Now, we have some people that I'm sharing, we as in me and my foodie hand helper here, have some people in the family that we're sharing the cookies with that are not big walnut fans. So once we get this all mixed together, we're going to actually put a little bit off to the side, and that'll be cooked as just chocolate chips but without the walnuts. Okay, now your mix might look slightly more doughy than what mine is. The reason being is because I used sugar substitute. Now, this is actually fine because if I'm going to have my hand model grab a bit of it and start squishing it together, as you can see, it can still be squished into the mold that you want where it's doughy. And so each individual one we're going to have to squish and mold into a dough before putting it on the tray. Yours should look more like this in the bowl. But because we're using a substitute, it's going to look a little different, and that is totally fine. Alright, so I took out the half that was going to be no nuts, and now we're adding the nuts. And we'll mix that together, and we'll start making our little balls to put on our cookie sheet. Alright, so this is about the size or so you want. You kind of roll them into a ball a bit, and once you get them on the cookie sheet, you're just going to slightly press them down. Beautiful. Alright guys, we are about to put these wonderful doughy delights in the oven. So again, 350. Okay, so these are now done. They do look a bit darker. They are slightly different. They don't expand out as much because of the sugar substitute. Da-da-dum! So, if your cookies do not look like this, if they look nice and moist and round and have expanded, yay, it's because you didn't use substitutes. All good. These will still taste delicious. Okay, foodie friends, so this is what the cookies look like when you use all the original recipe items without any substitutions. As you can see, nice and golden brown. Not burnt at the bottom, not too crunchy, also nice and moist. So when you're doing the substitutions, less time, guys. Just use a little less time cooking. These took me between 10 and 15 minutes just to make sure they had the brownness and they were fully cooked. Alright, well until next time, I miss your faces already. Bye foodie friends. Love ya.